Have you ever wondered whether the world continues to exist when you turn your back to it? Not just as a poetic idea, but literally. Imagine this: you're walking through a forest. Every leaf seems to rustle with its own secret. Every ray of light dances through the trees with perfect timing. But what if none of it was truly there, until you looked at it? What if the trees, the sky, even the ground beneath your feet only took form the moment your awareness fell upon them? This isn't the script of a science fiction film, it's a real question, posed by one of the most brilliant minds of the 20th century. A man who stood beside Einstein and yet dared to challenge the very foundation of physics, John Archibald Wheeler. He didn't ask what the universe is made of, he asked something far more dangerous: does it even exist before we observe it? Wheeler's question shattered the illusion of a stable, objective world. Instead of assuming that reality is an ever-present stage for which events simply unfold, he suggested the stage itself might not be there until the audience arrives. This isn't just a clever theory, it reflects the very edges of quantum physics, where particles don't settle into any particular state until measured. But Wheeler went further. He didn't merely propose a technical anomaly, he whispered something cosmic. What if reality depends on us not just to understand it, but to create it? What if, in the absence of consciousness, the universe remains a swirling soup of potential, unformed and unknowable, until we arrive to give it meaning? Now pause for a moment and ask yourself, have you ever felt like something changed the moment you became aware of it? Like reality shifted to meet your gaze. Perhaps you've walked into a room and sensed the air rearrange itself around you, or looked at someone and suddenly felt like the scene solidified. These moments, fleeting and strange, hint at something deeper: that observation is not passive. It's creative. You are not a camera recording the universe, you are a sculptor shaping it with your gaze. And if this is even partially true, then your awareness holds a power far greater than you've ever imagined. Not just to see, but to bring forth. Wheeler's question, is reality there when you're not looking, was never meant to be answered with certainty. It was meant to haunt us, to loosen the grip of the old worldview, to pry open a crack in the mechanistic model of the universe and let something else in, something participatory, alive, and dynamic. And so, he left us with a mystery, not a conclusion. He knew that by keeping the question alive, he was keeping the doorway open, because the moment we believe reality is fixed and separate from us, we stop participating in its creation. But when we entertain the possibility that our awareness is inseparable from existence, everything begins to shift. And here's the most unsettling part: Wheeler wasn't just playing with metaphysics. He was laying the groundwork for a transformation in how we understand reality itself. He didn't just speak in equations, he spoke in riddles designed to awaken the sleeping mind. His ideas invite us into a universe that is unfinished, waiting, responsive. But we're only at the beginning, because Wheeler didn't stop at observation. He asked an even deeper question, one that could unravel the boundary between mind and matter, between self and cosmos. And that question leads us directly into the next truth: you are not in the universe, you are creating it. What if you were never just an observer, but the painter behind the canvas? This may sound poetic, but it's exactly what John Archibald Wheeler began to suspect in the final decades of his life. To Wheeler, the universe wasn't a collection of inert matter floating in a cold, indifferent void. It wasn't an object to be measured like a lifeless machine. No, it was something far more personal, far more radical: a participatory system, a living mirror that waits for your gaze to awaken it. In his own words, we are not simply bystanders on a cosmic stage, we are participants in bringing the stage into being. In other words, you are not in the universe. You are creating it, moment by moment, with your presence, your awareness, your attention. This changes everything. It unravels the old model of a universe that exists independently of the mind. Instead, it suggests that consciousness is not something small and confined within the skull. It is not a late byproduct of random evolution. It is fundamental. The canvas of space and time arises through you, not around you. Think about that. When you close your eyes, the world does not continue as it was. It collapses back into possibility unobserved, undefined, unresolved. Your awareness is not a flashlight shining onto reality. It is the very spark that ignites it. Just as a projector does not merely light up the screen, it brings the film to life. Now pause and reflect. Have you ever felt like you're in a world and the outer world was somehow synchronized? As if your thoughts, emotions, or presence had a direct influence on what unfolded around you. This isn't just spiritual romanticism. It may be a glimpse into a deeper architecture of reality, one where mind and matter are not separate, but two expressions of a single creative force, a force that becomes active when witnessed. In this light, your attention becomes sacred, not because it flatters the ego, but because it reveals the deeper truth. Without your awareness, there is no reality to perceive. You are the center from which all meaning radiates. Wheeler's view didn't come from mysticism. It came from physics. And yet, it converges with the wisdom of ancient traditions. From Eastern philosophies to indigenous cosmologies, countless cultures have long intuited this same truth. The world is alive through us. We are not trapped within a vast mechanical cosmos. We are the voice through which it speaks, the eyes through which it sees. So when Wheeler proposed that the universe might be a self-synthesizing system, he wasn't just being poetic, he was cracking open a door that, once opened, cannot be shut, a door that leads to the realization that you, the observer, are also the composer. But here's where it gets even more extraordinary. If your awareness plays a role in shaping what is real, then what does that say about the world around you? What does it mean for your daily life, your thoughts, your focus, your dreams? Could the structure of existence itself bend and respond to your gaze? And if it does, then your very presence is not passive, it's creative, not symbolic, but literal. And this brings us to a strange, beautiful truth hidden deep in quantum physics. The universe is waiting for you to look. What if the universe is more like a mirror than a machine waiting, silently, until you dare to look into it? Imagine walking into a pitch-black room. All around you is silence. You reach out, but your hand touches nothing. Then suddenly, a small light appears where your eyes settle. And in that exact place, the world begins to form. Not all at once, only where your gaze lands. A tree here, a stone there, as if the world were not built in advance, but created on demand. This is not fantasy. This is the strange reality at the core of quantum mechanics. And John Archibald Wheeler captured it in one haunting phrase: no phenomenon is a phenomenon until it is an observed phenomenon. Let that sink in. The universe doesn't simply exist. It waits for you. Wheeler wasn't speaking metaphorically. He was addressing something very real and deeply uncomfortable in physics, that at the quantum level, particles do not decide what they are until someone looks. Light, for instance, behaves like a wave, unless you measure it, and then it becomes a particle. But why? How can a thing be two things at once until observed? Wheeler saw this not as a glitch in the system, but as a revelation. Observation, he said, creates reality. Your attention isn't just witnessing the world, it is activating it. Like clay that refuses to take form, unless touched by vision, the universe remains suspended in a fog of probability until awareness collapses it into form. And here's where it becomes deeply personal. Think of a moment when your attention changed everything. A conversation that became meaningful the moment you truly listened. A dream that shifted the way your day unfolded. Or a feeling, a thought, a glance through which the world itself seemed to respond. Have you ever felt that the timing of something in your life was so precise it couldn't be coincidence? Perhaps it wasn't. Perhaps what we call synchronicity is just a glimpse of this deeper pattern, a universe shaped, not merely observed, by consciousness. The moment you look, Something looks back. This mirrors teachings found in ancient spiritual traditions. In the Upanishads, it is written, as is the microcosm, so is the macrocosm. As is the human body, so is the cosmic body. The observer and the observed are one. In Tibetan Dzogchen, awareness is not the mind looking at reality, it is reality becoming aware of itself. Even Rumi hinted at this when he said, "The eye through which I see God is the same eye through which God sees me." Wheeler, without realizing it, was giving scientific shape to ancient knowing. He was not just describing particles, he was describing the pulse of consciousness behind the veil of form. And now, the catch: if everything you observe takes shape through your awareness, then what about the things you avoid, the dreams you don't dare imagine, the parts of the world you refuse to look at? Are they less real or simply unformed? This is not a question of science, it's a question of participation. The universe is not a stage where events play out passively. It's a dynamic field waiting for interaction. So the real question is not whether the universe exists when you're not looking. The real question is, what are you choosing to bring into being every time you do? There's a lie we've been told since birth, one so deeply woven into our minds that we rarely question it. It's the idea that we are separate. Separate from each other, separate from nature, separate from the stars. But what if that very idea was the illusion holding our reality in chains? Imagine a sheet of paper with a line drawn through it. On one side you, on the other the world. Now imagine crumpling that page until the two sides touch, until there is no border at all. This is what modern physics and ancient mysticism beginning to whisper in unison. The boundary between observer and observed was never real. John Archibald Wheeler took this further than almost anyone. He suggested that the universe is not a distant object out there to be studied like a fossil behind glass. Instead, reality arises from within awareness. It's not a thing apart from you. It is emerging through you. If the universe is a song, you are not just the listener, you are the breath that gives it voice. Wheeler called this radical unity the participatory universe, a phrase that collapses the old image of a detached observer. And when this idea settles in, even for a moment, it changes how you walk through the world. Suddenly, the clouds don't just float in the sky, they respond. The wind doesn't just pass, you feel it echoing something in your soul. The illusion of separation begins to tear. Have you ever felt it? That fleeting sense that something was watching with you, not from above, but from within. Or those strange coincidences that feel like a conversation between your thoughts and the outer world. Maybe it's the dream that bleeds into waking life, or a feeling that someone, somewhere, somehow, is dreaming you. These are not fantasies, they are cracks in the old model. Cracks where light comes through, because if you've ever felt that the world around you was speaking in symbols, it's because you are not standing on the edge of reality, you are inside the heart of it. And every heartbeat is shared. This idea is not new. In Kabbalistic thought, the separation between self and divine is a veil, not a wall. In Advaita Vedanta, the notion of other is the first illusion to dissolve. The Emerald Tablet, source of Hermetic wisdom, proclaims that which is below is like that which is above, to accomplish the miracle of the one thing. These are not metaphors, they are maps. Maps pointing to a reality where duality is not the truth, but the training ground, where the mind builds walls for safety, and the soul slowly learns to dismantle them. Wheeler, without quoting these traditions, echoed their essence through science. You are not watching the universe happen. You are the happening itself. But here's the deeper question: if separation is an illusion, then what is reality made of? If mind and matter are not truly divided, what substance unites them? It's not atoms, not energy alone. What bridges the inner and outer, the thought and the form, the self and the cosmos? This is where Wheeler drops the final veil. He suggests that reality is not built from particles or even from energy, but from information, a universe made not of stuff, but of meaning. And this, more than anything, redefines what it means to exist. What if everything you've ever touched, seen, or known was never made of matter at all? What if, beneath all the colors, sounds, and textures, there is no substance, only symbols? This isn't spiritual metaphor, it's the most radical idea to emerge from the mind of John Archibald Wheeler. He proposed that the fabric of reality is not made of things, not of atoms or waves or particles, but of information. In his words, it from bit, meaning every object, every event, every point in space-time arises from a bit of information, from a binary choice, a yes, no, a question answered. The universe is not built from stuff, it is built from questions, and the answers we give them through observation. Think about dreams. Inside a dream, everything feels real. You walk, touch, speak, fear, love, but none of it is made of atoms. It's made of information, patterns of perception, emotion, memory, thought. And when you awaken, you don't say the dream was false. You say, it wasn't real in the material sense, but it was real in how it felt, in what it meant. Wheeler is suggesting that waking life isn't fundamentally different. The so-called physical world is just another kind of dream held together not by bricks, but by meaning. Reality, in this view, is a self-interpreting language, a constantly updating narrative generated by conscious participation. You are not reading the story, you are co-writing it. And here's where it gets personal. If reality is made of information, then your attention is not just a spotlight, it's an editor. Every thought, every feeling, every focus of your awareness is influencing the flow of the story. When you focus on fear, the world responds with symbols of fear. When you look for patterns of beauty, they emerge, not because you're imagining them, but because information organizes itself around consciousness. Have you ever noticed that after learning a new word, you start seeing it everywhere? That isn't coincidence. That's consciousness tuning reality like a frequency. You are not a fixed being moving through a neutral world, you are a dynamic awareness, weaving reality through interpretation. This echoes ancient teachings. The Hermetica says, the all is mind. In Buddhism, Vinaptimatra teaches that consciousness only underlies all experience. And in Gnostic texts, the material world is often described not as illusion, but as encoded meaning, waiting to be decoded by the awakened mind. Wheeler didn't use these words, but his science points in the same direction. The universe is a sea of signals, waiting for awareness to turn them into symbols, then stories, then truth. And once you grasp this, you can never unsee it. Everything becomes alive with meaning. The way a leaf falls, the flicker of light on a wall, the phrase someone randomly says, they stop being random. They become intentional echoes of a deeper design. So here comes the real question. If all of reality is shaped by information, and information responds to attention, then what reality are you creating right now, just by being here? What narrative is unfolding through your awareness? You are not trapped in a fixed world. You are swimming through a sea of potential meanings. Every moment is a sentence. Every glance is punctuation. And reality, ultimately, is not about what's out there. It's about what you perceive into existence. And that perception doesn't come from logic or measurement, it comes from presence. From the choice to look, and thus, to bring into being. If the universe is made of meaning, then every moment you live is a sentence being written in real time. And who holds the pen? You do. Not your ego, not your habits, but your awareness, the real you. You are not a fixed point inside a massive universe, you are the movement through which the universe becomes aware of itself. Wheeler hinted at this when he said, the past exists only insofar as it is recorded in the present. In other words, even history reshapes itself through observation. You are not walking through a world that is already written. You are writing it as you walk. With your gaze, with your feelings, with your choices. You are the storyteller of the cosmos. Think of the universe as a vast, living forest. It stretches endlessly in all directions, but remains in shadow until your eyes turn. And wherever you look, the trees form, the wind stirs, the path appears, not because it was always there, but because your awareness called it into being. The deeper truth is this: reality is reactive. It listens. It rearranges itself around the energy of your attention. Like a flock of birds changing direction mid-flight, the world bends subtly, continuously, in response to your focus. You've felt this, haven't you? That strange sense that when you change, the world around you shifts. Because it does, it must. The observer is not neutral. The observer is the composer. Now consider this: every story in yourself about who you are, what's possible, what the world is, becomes part of the framework through which the universe responds. If you see life as cold, chaotic, meaningless, reality reflects back fragments of confusion. But if you begin to hold the story that life is intelligent, connected, alive, the symbols start to change. You begin to notice synchronicities. You start feeling like you're in a dialogue with something larger than yourself. And you are, because the stories you carry don't just shape your thoughts. They shape the very architecture of reality around you. You are not trapped in a story. You are weaving one. Every belief is a brushstroke on the canvas of existence. Spiritual traditions have whispered this for centuries. In Hawaiian Huna philosophy, the world is what you think it is. In the Yoga Vasistha, the sage says, the mind creates the world. In modern terms, Wheeler echoes this with the idea that reality is a feedback loop between consciousness and cosmos. It's not just that you see the world differently when you change your perspective, it's that the world itself reorganizes. This is the true fusion point between science and mysticism. Reality is narrative, authored through perception. And when you begin to see yourself not as a passenger, but as the narrator, something astonishing happens. The universe becomes alive, curious, collaborative. So the question is no longer, what is real? The question becomes, what reality are you choosing to tell into existence? Your thoughts are not invisible. Your attention is not inconsequential. You are the silent force shaping a living story, and the story listens. Every sigh, every hope, every whisper of imagination, it listens. Not passively, but responsively. And now that you know this, the next page is blank. The ink is yours, the silence waits. What happens next is up to you. What if everything you've learned so far about reality, about consciousness, about creation was not just information, but a mirror? And what if that mirror wasn't just showing you the world, it was showing you you? This is where John Archibald Wheeler's vision collides with ancient wisdom. When he proposed that reality arises from the act of observation, he wasn't only talking about particles. He was pointing to something far more profound, that the act of seeing is also the act of being. The moment you observe, you are not just interacting with the universe, you are being the universe, folded into form, remembering itself through your eyes. You are not a fragment, you are a fractal of the whole. Imagine a drop of water reflecting the entire sky, not symbolically, literally. Every part of the whole is encoded in the parts. This is not metaphor, it's the nature of reality when you strip away the illusion of separateness. The mystic Rumi once said, "You are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop." And Wheeler, in his own scientific way, echoed this: every observation you make doesn't just register reality, it participates in its unfolding. The mind and the cosmos are not two, they are one process, looking inward and outward at once. When you reflect on existence, existence reflects on you. Have you ever had that moment, silent, expansive, when time seems to stop, and something larger moves through you? A sense that there is no boundary between the one who watches and what is watched. That is not imagination. That is recognition. The self and the universe are not opposing forces. They are mirrors, one reflecting the other in endless symmetry. In the participatory universe, your life is not something that happens to you. It is something happening through you. You are the pulse of consciousness moving through the field of form, shaping and shaped in one breath. This is where science ends, and spirit begins, or perhaps where both dissolve into one truth. The observer and the observed, the thought and the thing, the seeker and the mystery, they were never separate. The more deeply you understand this, the more personal the cosmos becomes. The stars stop being distant lights and start being echoes of your own awareness. The atoms that make your hand are made of the same vibrations that formed galaxies. And yet, those galaxies only exist here and now because you're looking, because you're listening, because something in you, behind the name and identity, is awake. So ask yourself now, not as a concept, but as a quiet inner knowing, what if you are the universe dreaming and waking up to itself through the dream? What if your thoughts aren't just shaping reality, they are reality, folding outward into symbols and synchronicities? What if you are not here to witness the mystery, but to be the mystery? You are not small. You are not lost. You are the eye through which the cosmos becomes aware it exists, and that changes everything. Now that you've seen the universe from a different angle through the eyes of Wheeler, through the echoes of ancient wisdom, and through the lens of your own awareness, take a breath. Let the weight of this truth settle in. You are not separate from what you see. You are not a passenger in this world. You are a presence that shapes, that colors, that calls meaning into form. And if that's true, then your thoughts, your questions, your reflections, they matter deeply. So I ask you now, not as a viewer, but as a fellow participant in this unfolding mystery, have you ever felt your thoughts shaping your reality? A moment when something changed because you looked at it differently. A dream that felt like more than a dream. A coincidence that felt like a message. Share it with us in the comments below. Let your experience echo here. You never know, your story might be the sign someone else has been waiting for, because we're not alone in this. We're exploring together, one insight, one observation, one ripple at a time. And if this journey stirred something in you, if you felt even for a moment that you are more than a mind inside a body, more than a name moving through time, this video helped you see the fabric of reality in a new light. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because this is just one chapter. The next video will take you even deeper into the mystery, into the unseen patterns behind the visible world. We're building a space here, a sanctuary for seekers, thinkers, mystics and minds wide open. And remember, the story doesn't end when the screen fades. It continues in your breath, in your next thought, in your next act of awareness. You are the mirror, you are the meaning, you are the mystery unfolding.